Hey everybody, welcome back to the Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight. This is Hermann Luttmann, and I'm going to take you through some gameplay quickly here. Nothing too in-depth, but at least to show you generally how the game works. So this is the game it's set up. We have two houses in play. So I have House Vandelay here, and with House Vandelay is Namtel the Great. He is the commander, and Morgan Van Fay, she is the magic user. The other house is House Newman, like you saw in the last video. Their commander is Regent Zinaj. He's the sniper, and their magic user is Cersei the Odd. This strange-looking dude right there. The map is set up. You'll notice all these blight units. These are tortoise garrisons. So the tortoise garrisons are these mutated turtles. They are guarding all these troves of treasure and valuables and people. So on every single white star there will be a treasure which is face down, could be anything, we don't know, and that is guarded by a tortoise unit. We also don't know what's on the other side of the tortoise unit because they're all rated differently. Some of them even have a white star, which indicates that there will be an ambush there. So if you go in there and there's a white star, guess what? Some ambushes are going to show up. Then at the start of the game, 4 minion hordes are going to be randomly deployed on the entry arrows. So I've done that already, rolled 2d6. So we got a guy here at the 3 spot, we got a guy here at the 6 spot, we got one at the 9 spot, another one at the 10 spot. So they start in these areas. We also get 1 Farseer. These are the champions, the evil baddies of the Red Blight, and this guy here, his name is Vulcan. He has certain fire type abilities. He showed up over here as well. So this is the way the game starts. There are 2 houses. When you have 2 houses, you use all available house units. The more players you have, these forces will actually get smaller and smaller so that the net amount of total house units will always stay roughly the same. I've deployed them semi-randomly. Do not take this as a suggestion on how to start your game. Each of these areas is called a mountain pass area. They hold 10 units. I've basically just spread it out. The standees represent our commanders and magic users. I've also started a small force as a flanking force off the map. What you're allowed to do is you can start some guys off the side to go up a flank, and they will go up these areas, either W or E. You see E+1, E+2, E+3. These guys can actually travel off map to each of these locations and come on as a flanking force. The disadvantage of that is that they're not involved in the game while they're off board. So I'll show you how that works as well. So we're all set to start. Again, this is not the way to play the game. Please don't take my word for it. The turn track is in turn 1. The terror track is in 0. If the Red Blight scores 21 terror points or more, you immediately lose the game. There are various ways they're going to score those terror points. This is the activation track over here. Now you'll see red. So red is blight activations. They always get the first one. And then it alternates. These are house activations. So in a 2-player game, each house gets 2 of their house activations and 1 wild. There will always be 5 house activations. Players decide who the first house is going to be, and that will go face up in the number 2 slot. So we all have to agree on which house is going to go. So the players have all agreed that House Newman is going to go first. Then the other 4 activation chits get placed face down, juggled up, and randomly deployed. So we don't know who's going to go next after this. Following the sequence of play, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put these guys out, which we did already at the beginning of the game. We are going to determine odd or even for the blight activation, and it's 4. 4 is an even number, so we flip this. This is the 4th area directional, so the blight is going to do the blue arrows when they move, so you leave that up here as a reminder. And then we get underway. So first thing we do is we discard an activation chit, which is basically you take this blight activation chit, you put it to the side, that means you're going to draw a card. You draw the card, and the first card is, it says advance. It says advance minion hordes, they conduct movement. The way the blight conducts movement is quite simple. These are the minion hordes, they have a movement of 3, so they're going to go, 3 areas, following blue arrows if necessary. So, for example, this guy here, it's either yellow or blue, he's going to go blue, he goes to here, He's going to go blue again for 2, and he's going to go blue again for 3. So he's sitting here now. This minion, and we're only moving minion hordes, nothing else moves. And with an advance order, if they happen to move into an area with house units, they're actually going to attack them in melee or close combat. So this guy's also going to move 3. Again, blue arrows, 1. Now there's only one exit from this area. It's a red arrow, so there's only one exit. 2, and there's another blue arrow, 3. So he goes over here. We got 2 more over here. Blue arrow, 1. Red arrow, 2. Blue arrow, 3. So he sits in here with the tortoises. Now this is a rough hills area. This can hold 3 units. So I've conveniently written on the bottom of the map here all those facts. So he can stay there. This unit also moves 3. Blue arrow, 1, 2, and then follows the red arrow. He sits on the bridge. Bridges are their own area, so he's going to sit on the bridge right here. And that's it. That's what the Blight does. You take this card, you discard it. Now we move on to the next activation chit. That activation chit is for House Newman. Put it over here. Now House Newman, the player who plays House Newman, which is, guess what, me. And by the way, if you play this game solitaire, this is how you play. You play with 2 houses. So I decide, what can I do? What can I do with these guys? Well, I can move them. I can close combat with them. I can do ranged combat. I can do magic, and I can regroup. All right? You do it in a certain order, which is written on the activation chart. First thing you do is cast a spell. Well, Cersei the Odd here can't cast a spell. His magic level is 1. All magic users start as 1, and he can only use magic 1 area out. They get better during the game, which they extend their range and they actually roll better dice. We're not doing that. We can do missile attacks, but again, nobody's in range. Everybody's got a range of maybe 2, 1, 2. You just count areas. Nothing blocks except mountains. And nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing a melee combat. So we finally do movement. So we're going to move our guys. We're going to try to get close to these tortoises as possible. There are no movement costs for terrain. So it's designed so that it's harder to move through rough areas because there's more areas, but everything's 1. So the archers are going to go move 1, 2. These guys move 2. He'll go with them. 1, 2. We'll move all these guys up nice and standard. Now, you do have an option. This guy is an Ironman. Now, these guys are cavalry. They're going to move 3. 1, let's say 2, 3. We'll just be nice and consistent. These are boomstickers. They're boomstickers, they only move 1. Now, they move 1 to there. You do have an option, if you want, you can force march them another area. So let's do that. We're going to force march these guys another area. But because they did that, they have to take a bravery test. What's a bravery test? Bravery test is you look at your bravery rating, which is D8. So you grab a D8, which in this game are blue. You have to roll better than a 4. So what happens is, really brave units might have, like these Ironmen, they have a D12, other guys have D6s, D10s. You have to beat a 4, so obviously the higher die you roll, the better odds you are going to pass the bravery test. So we roll a D8, see if he passes his bravery test. He rolls a 7, he passes it, so he gets to move that extra area without any problem. If he had rolled a 1 through 4, he would take a casualty. But you always can move the 1 extra area, it's just a matter of did you lose any stragglers along the way, did people fall behind? So next thing is Cersei's going to move. He can only move 2, and you will know that because on his little board on the bottom, they have all the stats for these standees. So 1, and we'll move him 2. He'll get brave and go out there. These guys will also move. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Move him there. These are harassers. So I'll tell you a little bit about these units as I move them if it comes up. But harassers are very important. They're basically light infantry. They're skirmishers. They're also foragers. So they do 2 special things. They can scout as an action and take a peek at what this tortoise unit is, what his value is. And they also forage. I won't show it in this playthrough, but you're going to keep track of how many supplies you have and food and gold. Harassers can forage for food. You need to feed your guys at the end of every day during the night turns, and having food is really important. So, Regent Zinaj here, he's a sniper. He moves 3, so he's pretty sneaky. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to move him there. Now, all these units can only do one thing during an activation. So they've all decided to move. They're not going to be allowed to attack or do anything else. And that's it for this activation. To launch a melee combat, in other words, to attack somebody physically, you have to start adjacent. And that's a very important concept in the game. You can't just move and move into an area with units. You have to start adjacent to them, and then as your action, you're going to move in and attack them. So you need to set up attacks one turn ahead of time. All right, so that's it for House Newman. They just all advanced nicely. Then we go back to our activation track, and we pull off the next Blight activation, and we draw another card. Let's see what they do. This is a spawn. So we're going to spawn a Fetid Knight. Fetid Knight is a pretty tough unit. Spawn, that's what these guys look like. And spawning them simply means they're going to show up and one of these entry arrows. And again, we're going to roll 2d6, and that's where this guy is going to show up. So I rolled an 8, and he plops himself in this corner back here. Now, he may move later on, he may not, we don't know, but that's where he's going to start. That's it for the Blight. Then we go to the next house activation. Now, we don't know as players, we don't know who's going to go next. So we flip this over, and we find out it's House Vandalay gets to start. So House Vandalay does their move. Now, this flanking unit, what he's allowed to do is, during an activation, he can go all the way up to E+1, and he can enter in that area if he wishes, or he can stay off board, and next time they activate, he can go up to here. So let's say they decide to go here and stay off board, because they want to come up here and maybe try to take this bridge. As far as the rest of these guys, again, same situation applies. They're out of range of the tortoises, they're out of magic range, so all these guys are just going to move up. Namtol moves 2 because he's a heavy armored guy. The sword strikers, I'll tell you real quickly, are regular swordsmen. They're very good in melee. They have an assault ability, which means they can come back and attack again after they attack. So that's very important sometimes. That also mitigates bad die rolls. So if you get a really bad die roll and they get beaten, they can go right back and attack again. These are rock throwers, so these are catapults. They fire a long way. So sitting him here means he can reach both these tortoise units. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to sit him there. We're going to leave this guy to guard him, the pikers, and these sword strikers are going to move there. Morgan Van Fay moves 4. She's really fast. So she's going to go flying up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's very dangerous. I wouldn't normally do that, but just for fun, I'm going to... No, you know what? For fun, I'm going to put her right there so she can do some magic next turn. These guys move 2. The Boomsticker moves 1. We're not allowed in these mountains, by the way. And here's a harasser, so he's going to go here. That's it. House Vandalay is done. Nice and simple. Pull another Blight activation chit, draw another card. We have something called the Blight Wave. All Blight units conduct movement, but will not enter house-occupied areas. So this is just a big advance by all the Red Blight guys, but they're not going to attack anybody. They're just all moving up into position. So the way you do this is you're going to move them all, and you're going to move them in order of fear, their fear factor. So the most fearful guys, it's in the rule book, but the most fearful guys obviously are the Farseers. This Farseer is Vulcan. And he moves 3. So we're going to move him. Now again, we're still on the even blue arrow, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to go to the Fetid Knights. These are the next most fearful. So they move 3, and they're also following blue or red. 1, 2. Now he joins them in here. Now this is fully stacked, this hex. These minion hordes are going to move next. All right. You can't see it tucked in over here, but there's a red arrow coming out of this area, so he's going to follow red 1, red 2, red 3. However, this is a bog. Bogs can only hold 1 unit. So they're very tough to take because you can only attack with 1 unit, and only 1 unit can be in there to defend, so they're really tough. So since this guy can't fit in here, he stops at the last area he was in. I know I forgot to move somebody, this guy right here. 1, 2. Now he does a little detour because it's a blue, so he goes this way because he's scanning for these guys. All right, I think I got everybody. Did I forget somebody? Oh, I forgot to move this guy, didn't I? Yes. 1, blue, 2, 3, blue, 4. That's 3, I'm sorry. All right, so everybody moved up. Now if they had tried to move in with somebody else, they wouldn't have been able to do it because according to the card, they're only advancing in a wave, they're not actually attacking anybody. So, Blight's done. We next move to House Vandelay. That's our next chit. Each house has 2 chits, as I said. So now Vandelay gets to go again. Now what do we want to do? Well, now we have some options. So, following the sequence of play, first thing you do is magic. Well, Morgan Van Fay is sitting right here. Her magic range is 1. So let's say she tried to do some magic on this tortoise over here because he's 1 away. Alright, well we can do that. We get out our handy dandy magic chart, which is on the back of the red thing here. And the way magic works is you're going to roll 2d6. All magic users use 2d6 when they're at level 1. When they get to level 3, you replace one of the d6s with a d8. And when they get to level 5, that 8 gets changed to a 10. The idea is to roll 6 or better. So obviously as you get better dice and your magic level goes up, you're more likely to succeed. So we look at Morgan Van Fay. She has 2 spells. One is called Fata Morgana. That's actually to move a friendly unit, to pick it up magically and move it really far. We don't really want to do that right now. She has Twister though. That's a tornado she's going to unleash in there. So what we want to do is we're going to roll 2d6. We're trying to get 6s. If we get a 5, what happens is your magic went off, but the enemy just gets like a little uncomfortable tingle. So here we go, looking for 6s. Holy mackerel! Okay, well this is not pre-planned. Double 6s is the best you can do. I can't believe that. Fred's not going to believe that I rolled that. I've never rolled that. If both dice results are 6s, the spell is a catastrophic direct hit on the target. Any one enemy unit is eliminated. There is only one enemy unit. It is immediately eliminated. No save attempt allowed. That's another thing I got to tell you. These standee characters get save attempts. Player then casts the chosen spell. Well, guess what? We killed the guy, so the Twister goes and just consumes everything. If the Twister was needed, what you would do is it would actually attack in melee with a d20. That's the way that works. And finally, we earn 2 mana blessings. So mana blessings are another little commodity that we keep track of by faction. And mana blessings are kind of just wild. You can re-roll dice. You can move guys special. You can conjure things. You can even repair characters with them, heal them. So mana blessings are just these little things you can use it whenever you want. They let you re-roll, do all sorts of nice little things. So I would get 2 mana blessings. House Vandelay would move their little purple cube on the chart there and mark 2 mana blessings. And this tortoise is dead. So we don't even care what's on the other side of this tortoise, but we'll take a look at it just in case. So this tortoise was a pretty tough one. He had a d8 for melee, he had a d10 for bravery, and he had a star, which means the star means that an ambusher unit, which is another type of Red Blight unit, comes flying in here and sits here now and has to be attacked as well. So it's just a kind of a surprise attack. But we killed it before that could go off. This goes away. You do not get glory points. Normally you get glory points for killing guys, but we don't get any points for him. Now, this treasure here, we still can't take this treasure. Somebody's got to go in there. We did our magic. Second thing, we can do a missile attack. Well, let's do a missile attack just for fun. I'll show you how combat works. This rock thrower can throw his rocks, or her rocks, 3 ranges. So it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this tortoise is within range. You roll a d12. Okay, so we take a d12. This tortoise is sitting in rough hills. Rough hills is a area protection value of 5. What we're doing is we're going to roll this die against a 5. One other thing, this is a tortoise. Tortoise have a special ability which is called hard shell, and it adds 1 to the protection value of this, so we're actually going to roll against 6. So we're going to roll the d12, this thing's going to shoot, we've got to beat a 6, and we're going to call that a 2. Not enough. If I rolled a 6, it would have been 1 hit. If I rolled an 8, it would have been 1 hit, you divide. And if I rolled a 12, it would have been 2 hits. But we ended up missing. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is there any other ranged attack? Well, this guy's 2, 1, 2, he can't reach. So we're going to move. Namtul is going to go 1, 2, so he's setting up to attack this town. These sword strikers are going to move here, setting up to attack that tortoise. The rock thrower cannot move because it fired, right? Just like Morgan Van Fay cannot move because she cast magic. The pikers will stay here to guard the rock throwers in case anything weird happens. So now we have to decide who's going to go in and check this treasure out. There are traps, so we don't want to just throw anybody in there. So what we'll do is we'll move these guys around here, kind of cut off that town. We'll have the levy troops go in there. Good luck to them. 1, 2. And we turn this over and we get hostages. So we found a group of townsfolk that are being held hostage there, and it says gain the Wagner Corps. The Wagner Corps are some mercenaries. So guess what? We replaced that, and now we are now stronger by this unit here. This unit has now joined us. If you have trouble, like if units get close to each other, you can put a purple marker on there to show that it belongs to the purple contingent, and they are now part of our army. We have to feed them. They're considered part of us. 1, 2, 1. Now these guys are going to opt. This is their second turn, so they're going to go up to E+2. And now, because this minion horde's lurking around, we are going to actually enter the board here. So we put them in that area and they stop. And that's it. That's it for House, which one is that? House Vandalay. Blight activation. Another card. It's an event. So for the event, we grab our event table. We take out the wonderful D20. This thing will cause you all sorts of headaches in this game. We roll the D20, we roll an 8. According to this, an 8 is called Warlord Foul. The Blight Warlord, Gronk Foul, he does have a name, orders an offensive, spawn a Farseer champion unit. So we spawn a Farseer, another one which I didn't put on the standee yet. He comes in at 9. Okay, I rolled a 9 for where the new Farseer is going to come in, which is right here. All Blight units with a missile rating, whether they just moved or not, will conduct a missile combat attack with an upgraded rating. That happens a lot in this game. Ratings can be upgraded. So if you're a D6, guess what? Now you're a D8. So we look around the board, we look to see if there's any units, any Blight units with a ranged combat. This guy's a 1, he can't reach anybody. This guy's a 1, and guess what? He shoots at my guys that just came in on the board. Lovely. So the way you do that is the minion hordes are a D10. They're going to shoot into here. They shoot at the unit. Blight units automatically fire when they fire into they fire at the guy with the lowest movement rate, and that is the boomstickers. So these guys are going to roll a D10. The boomstickers are sitting. Unfortunately, we're sitting in plains. Plains is just clear terrain. Plains has a defense value of 4. So it's a D10 against a 4. Here we go. 2, I missed again. All right, so they missed, thank God. And guess what? I made a mistake. So this is a good lesson. I said that this should be an upgraded. So he actually rolled a D12, not a D10, because according to the event, this should be upgraded. So let's do that again. And this time it's a D12. This time I rolled an 8. The defense value in plains is 4. Guess what? That's 2 hits. So 1 hit would be putting casualty marker under a unit. 2 hits is flipping the unit over. So now it is permanently degraded. See the different, these are lower ratings on the backside. This minion horde actually did manage to shoot some arrows in here and nail this guy badly. Nobody else is within range, and we're still not done with the event. Finally, because the Valley has drawn Warlord Foul's gaze, the Red Blight scores D3 terror points. So D3 means you roll a D6, have it, and round up. They score 2 terror points. Dun 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 dun. This is bad news. Already they got terror points. All right, and that's the end of it. Well, we've ticked off Lord Foul, and things are not looking great. All right, we'll move on to our next activation, which is House Newman. All right, so what are they going to do? First thing, magic. Well, Cersei the Odd is still not within range of anybody, so he can't use any magic. Second thing is missile combat. Do we have missile combat? Yeah, we do. The harassers can shoot into here, and we're going to do that to see if we can loosen up this enemy for the Iron Men to go charging in there. Actually, Regent Zenaj, our big dude here, also has a missile rating of D10. So you know what? We're going to shoot with him first. So you take a D10, Again, the tortoise is sitting in rough hills, which is a 5. It's a tortoise, so now it's a 6. He shoots, he scores a 6. That is even. When you hit even on a missile attack, that means the target unit has to take a bravery test. And if they fail, they get a hit. If they don't, they stay. So now this is a way you can flip over your tortoise. The tortoise, as soon as you reveal him, guess what? There is a white star, which means you've uncovered the fact that there is now an ambusher in there as well. So our little ambusher shows up. So now there's 2 units in there. The tortoise has to take a bravery test. You roll your d10, and he wants to beat a 4. He did. He beat a 4, so you did not hit him. However, you did find out that there's ambushers sitting there. So now we know this. So now we're not going to send our Iron Men in there because now he would have to fight both of them. So what do we do? Well, that's a good question. Just to show you how melee works, what we'll do is we will have these Iron Men declare a melee attack. They will move in. This is risky because you don't know what's here, but I'll just, for sake, I will show you how this works. That reveals the tortoise. No white star, so nobody else shows up for the tortoise, so that's good. So, what do we do? Well, our Iron Men get a D12. The Iron Men actually have an ability called a mounted charge, and if they attack somebody in clear terrain, they actually get to roll a D6 as well and add them together. But they didn't do that. They're in rough hills here. The tortoise, his melee is a D6. He gets a +1 to this because, again, he's got hard shell, and he's in rough hills. Rough hills gives him a +2. So altogether, he's going to roll this die and get +3. 1 for the shell, 2 for the terrain. So let's see what he rolls. He rolls a 2 plus 5. +3 is 5. So he's got a 5. Let's see what our Iron Men get. They get a 6. 6 to 5, they beat him. The tortoise gets a hit. And because they beat him in melee, they retreat. You get to retreat him wherever you like. So let's get him out into the open so next time we can kind of do some damage to him. Our Iron Men won. They cheer, they run around, shoot off their guns, everything else. And what did they find? They found valuables. They found 4 gold. Gold, that's really good. Gold is very important. So on our tracker, we would give the yellow contingent a 4 gold. All right, everybody else, let's see. We're not attacking this guy because it's too much. He shot, he can't move. He shot, he didn't shoot, but he'll stay there. We're going to move 1. We're going to move 2 and get ready to attack them. We're going to move these guys 2. We're going to actually move them over here to help protect our magic user, because this guy's going to come this way, so we're going to be ready for him. And then all these guys will move 1, 2, and get in between here and be ready. All right, that's it for that house. Last Blight activation, another card, Strike. So Strike is Terror Beasts and Fetid Knights. So whenever there's Terror Beasts and Fetid Knights on the board, they're going to strike, which means they're going to attack an adjacent spot, or if they have range combat, they'll do range combat. They do missile or melee combat. Units that cannot attack will advance instead. So there are no Terror Beasts in the game at this point. There can be later. We do have a Fetid Knight though. He is over here. Now he can't strike anywhere. There's nobody near him, so he just doesn't advance, which means he moves. So he follows red, he follows red, and he follows blue for 3. All right, we're starting to head this way. And then lastly, last activation is Wild. So, depending on the player count, there's going to be occasional wild chits. Wild means all the players have to get together and decide, well, who's going to activate? So, you look at the board, you say, well, where should we activate? Who should be active? So let's say we all decide that House Newman should go next because we're going to have them attack one of these towns. All right? So we say, all right, go ahead. Magic, none, not within range. Missile, what the heck, we'll have the harassers shoot in here with their little D6. They only got little spears and stuff, but they'll shoot anyway, and they'll shoot at the ambushers. So they roll their D6. The ambushers are in Rough Hill, so they're a 5. So we need a 6. We roll a 2, and they laugh it off. All right, no other ranged combat. Let's. Well, we could have Xena. Well, you know what? Xenage will shoot in there too, just to show you how effective he can be, because he's a D10. And he rolls an 8, so he gets a hit on the ambushers, because the defense is a 5. So we get a casualty marker on the ambushers. They don't have to retreat from missile fire, they stay there. You only retreat during melee combat. And let's say that they decide, you know what, we're going to attack this town. Now, towns can hold 5 units, so we're going to go in with 4 units. They're just going to barrel in here. So how do we do this? What a mess. Herman, what have you done here? This is unsolvable. No, it's easy. You flip the tortoise, you see who he's got. Oh, we picked a good one. This guy's only a D6. All right? We get all these dice. So, 3 D8s and a D10. Do these guys do anything special? Sword strikers have an assault ability. Levy guys don't do anything special. They can come back into the game cheaper. So, the tortoise gets a D6. He gets +1 because he's got a hard shell. And he's in a town now. So a town is +3. So that's +4 to his die roll. So let's roll that. Uh-oh. He's a 10. We're going to take all our dice here, roll them up, and we better beat a 10. I think we did. All right. So that's 18. 18 to 10 is 1 hit. We just barely missed getting 2 hits. He gets a hit. We get to retreat him. Let's retreat him. Now, I'll show you this other little trick here. There's a few areas on the board which are bogs that don't have any arrows in them. These are, for reasons unknown, areas that the blight doesn't like. They become very lethargic in them. We think it's plant life that doesn't agree with them, kind of poisons them or drugs them up, whatever. But when they go in here, now they're not going to move out of there unless something weird happens. And so we're going to put them in there so that they kind of sit. So if they get an activation, they're never going to move from there. So we put them in there. We take this town, we get to flip the treasure, and more hostages, but this time we don't get people, we get 3 gold and 2 food. So we update our little tracker over there for the yellow contingent, and they get that. They also get a town. Owning a town in this game is very valuable because during the night you can actually forage in the town and get even more resources. And we've done all the activations. That's the end of the turn. There's nothing else to do. We just move on. Next turn. And what we do then is, for the next turn, is we put all these back out. We decide who do we want to go first. Well, maybe this time we'll decide to have purple go first so he can do something over there. Then we turn these over, randomly distribute them, and we start our next turn. And that's a turn of Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight. I won't bore you anymore with any more stuff. All I can say is your boards tell you every unit has a special ability. So once you get to know what they all can do, you start, developing your tactics so that you can, access and exploit those particular abilities. I'll let you find these out for yourselves, but they really are kind of fun, and it does add a tactical flair to the game. Same thing for the Red Blight. Certain Red Blight units do things. Ambushers can attack a whole group of house units, and instead of fighting them all, it just fights the slowest guy. So it goes in there and does like a lightning strike and can hit this guy, and then it goes back. So they have that ability. Other guys have, Fetid Knights have Overkill, Terror Beasts have 2 things they can do, so they all have different characteristics, and it adds a lot of variety to the game. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope this gives you a good idea. I'm sure we'll have more stuff on the details of the game, but that's it. Thank you very much. This has been the Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight, and I hope you like what you see. Thank you.
The Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight, is new from Blue Panther, available now on www.bluepantherllc.com. Thanks for watching.